In this for loop, I'll prompt the user for 10 numbers, and after I get all 10 numbers from the user, I'll echo back to the screen, I'll display back to the screen the greatest number that was entered. So I'll have to use scanner in this one because we're asking the user for input. And so 10 times, I'm going to ask the user for a number. There's my counter going from 1 to 10. Inside the loop, I'm going to ask the user for a number and enter it into an int named input. Okay, so there's that. Let's see. Declare input. And so now 10 times, I'll get a number from the user. So far, so good. Now, I want to check each time I get a number if that's the biggest number entered yet. So I've got to keep track of the biggest number. So I'll need a variable for that. Int, I'll just say biggest. And I might make some mistakes here on purpose just to demonstrate what most students might do. If I told them what to do, they might forget some little things. Good to make the mistake. So if input is bigger than the biggest number entered so far, okay, then we'll go ahead and make biggest equal to this number. So if the current number, the biggest one so far, is bigger than all the rest, we'll store that number into biggest. And then after the loop is over, we'll display biggest. Okay, let's see if this compiles. And no, it doesn't. Okay, we haven't gotten this error very much this year. Okay, I honestly only started to see it in the last day or two in your programs. It says variable biggest might not have been initialized. So BlueJ is saying, please initialize biggest. Well, what do we initialize it to? This is a pretty abstract part of this program, I think. It's a tough part. You might think that 0 is good enough, and 0 is good enough for most series of 10 numbers. Well, let's come back to that thought. Let's just make it 0 and see if that works. Okay, it compiles, and now when I run it, let's get 10 numbers. How about 12, 1, 32, 9, 0, 12, again, 4, and that was the 10th number, and so it seems to be working fine. It's 45. 45 is the biggest number, so it works. Now, why did I say that initializing biggest was a little bit of an abstract concept? Well, the user could enter anything that fits into an int variable. She could enter all negative numbers. Of course, if she enters all negative numbers, what's going to happen? Well, none of those negatives will be bigger than 0. You see it? So if I do that, -9, 3, it says 0 was the biggest number entered, and 0 never was entered. You should be a little more exact with this and make it somewhere near the bottom of the integer range. The very bottom of the integer range is around -2 billion. So you could just say -2 followed by 9 zeros, and then you're probably covered. There's just a few numbers that are less than that the int range holds. You could also make it even better and go integer dot max, min underscore value, and that's the exact lowest value of min can be. So if you see it in the AP exam, they'll do it like that. Greatest